A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. In a significant development in North American trade relations, Canada announced on Sunday that it would rescind a controversial digital services tax, DST, aimed at U.S. tech giants like Amazon and Alphabet. This decision comes as both countries prepare to resume stalled trade negotiations, which had been put on hold after U.S. President Donald Trump suspended talks in response to Canada's tax plans. The digital services tax, enacted last year, was set to impose a 3% levy on revenues generated by U.S. tech companies from Canadian users, potentially costing these firms billions. Analysts had estimated that the tax could bring in approximately 5.9 billion Canadian dollars, 4.2 billion US dollars, over 5 years for Canada. However, the tax faced immediate backlash from the U.S., with Trump labeling it a direct and blatant attack on our country. The U.S. had previously requested dispute settlement talks over the tax, but the situation escalated when Trump announced on Friday that he was halting trade discussions with Canada. He warned that Canada would soon learn of its new tariff rates as tensions rose. In a move to ease these tensions, Canadian Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne announced on Sunday that the DST would be rescinded in anticipation of a comprehensive trade agreement with the United States. The statement indicated that both Trump and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney had agreed to resume negotiations, aiming to finalize a deal by July 21, 2025. The White House did not provide immediate comments on the announcement. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent had expressed hope that Canada would halt the tax as a gesture of goodwill, indicating a desire for a more cooperative trade relationship. While Canada has avoided some of the sweeping tariffs imposed by Trump on other nations, it still faces a unique tariff regime. Since his return to the White House in January, Trump has implemented steep tariffs on imports of steel, aluminum, and automobiles, significantly impacting Canadian exports. Canada is the largest foreign supplier of steel and aluminum to the U.S., making these tariffs particularly consequential. In response to the escalating trade tensions, Carney stated last week that Canada would adjust its counter-tariffs on U.S. steel and aluminum, which currently stand at 25%, should a bilateral trade agreement not be reached within 30 days. The Canadian Prime Minister emphasized the importance of conducting these negotiations in the best interest of Canadians, highlighting the need to stabilize trade relations with the U.S. and ensure access to U.S. markets for Canadian businesses without restricting their global dealings. Carney and Trump had previously met at the G7 summit in Kananaskis, Alberta, where leaders urged Trump to reconsider his aggressive trade policies. As the July 9th deadline approaches for new, steeper U.S. tariffs to take effect, it remains uncertain whether a resolution will be reached in time. Bessent suggested that Washington aims to conclude its trade agenda by September, though discussions are expected to continue beyond July. The cancellation of the digital services tax marks a pivotal moment in the ongoing trade saga between Canada and the United States, with both nations now poised to re-engage in talks that could redefine their economic relationship. As the situation develops, stakeholders on both sides of the border will be closely monitoring the negotiations, hoping for a favorable outcome that benefits both economies. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.